Hi, my name is Ritesh Bawri. I'm an entrepreneur and also the father of two wonderful children. Interestingly, I'm also someone who's almost died 14 times in my life. From being in a near plane crash to being lost in a jungle, I've seen it all. 7 years ago, I experienced what was hopefully my last near-death experience. I just turned 40. I was diabetic, I was hypertensive, had always suffered from asthma, and I had acidity for at least 20 years. Thanks to the intervention of Professor Ravi Rajan, I was able to reverse all these conditions in 90 days. I was hooked. I had to learn more. Since then, I've read thousands of medical journals and hundreds of books. I've certified myself in physiology from the Harvard Medical School and in nutrition from the Tufts Medical School. I just had to understand what was happening in the human body. I've started breatheagain, a platform dedicated to helping people live a very long and a very healthy life. We've been able to impact thousands of people, reverse lifestyle conditions. You know, the really interesting thing is that even the World Health Organization calls lifestyle diseases potentially reversible. Are we saying that if you just simply made some lifestyle changes, 7 of the top 10 reasons why we're dying could be reversed, or at least the risk could be reduced? To find out more, I put together the Ritesh Bawri Show, where we talk to experts and regular people, understand from them what's going on with their lives, and how all of us can live a very long and a very healthy life. Welcome to the show, the Ritesh Bawri Show. You know, it's rumored that Cleopatra was so beautiful, her face could literally launch 1,000 ships. In our modern world today, beauty, aesthetics, appearance is no less coveted. It is said that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but say that to that person who's being judged for the way they look. We might not like it, we might not agree with it, but unfortunately, we are also judged by the way we look. In that context, it's my proud privilege to welcome Dr. Jaishree Sharad to the show, the Ritesh Bawri Show. Dr. Sharad is a leading dermatologist in India. She works with celebrities, literally sort of rule Bollywood today. She comes from a humble background. She's learnt the craft through hard work, perseverance, and has literally risen to become one of the top dermatologists in the country. So we are here to talk to her about skin, we're here to talk about hair, we're here to talk about aesthetics, we're here to talk about beauty and appearance, and why it matters so much. Is it really just skin deep, or is there more to it? But we are here to learn about the best practices that can make your appearance whatever you desire. Dr. Jaishree Sharad. Welcome, Dr. Sharad. This is indeed an honor. I've read your book cover to cover. If you haven't already read this book, you must read it. It's extremely technically sound, but what comes through is the empathy of Dr. Sharad. She genuinely cares about her patients. She genuinely cares about the people who've asked her these questions. And you've got some very, very sound answers that will transform the way you live your life, especially as far as your skin, hair, and nails are concerned. Welcome, Dr. Sharad. Really a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. If you don't mind, I'd just literally like to start at the beginning. What got you into dermatology?
It's a very weird story. While I was doing MBBS, I always thought I should be a pediatrician. I love kids. And I thought because I love kids, I should just be taking care of them. Now then, during internship, you have 1 month in every subject, 1 month in pediatrics, 1 month in orthopedics, etc., etc.
Sure.
I'd come back home and cry every day. I was already married by then.
Okay.
Just right after MBBS, I got married. Because I couldn't take the pain of the kids. I was too emotional.
Interesting.
And then there was this 10-year-old kid who had leukemia. And I really got attached to him. And he passed away.
Oh, God.
And that was the end of my pediatrics. I said, I am not going to do this.
Thank you for watching. Being connected to each other is easily one of the most powerful emotions a human being can feel. On that note, I have a very small request to make of you. Lots of you watch this channel, but not all of you subscribe to this channel. If you subscribe, you'll get notified of all the new episodes that we're going to be releasing very shortly. We've had some fascinating conversations with some amazing people who have so many powerful lessons to teach. So please do subscribe. If you subscribe to the channel, you will know about all the new episodes we're releasing. So please subscribe now.
That was the end of my pediatrics. I said, I am not going to do this. Ideally, it should have been the other way around when I look back, because I should have said, no, I should only take care of kids. But I have a weak heart. I'm super emotional. And with that, if your treatments go wrong because you're emotional, you can't do justice.
Correct, of course.
And then I was in JJ, so JJ Group of Hospitals. I was doing my internship when the senior residents went on strike. That gave me an opportunity to work in the Department of Skin for a longer time.
Okay.
And because there were no residents and I was the only intern, I would sit with all these senior dermats up until late.
Okay.
Everybody would, sit. And it was very, very interesting. We didn't have cosmetic dermatology or aesthetic work at
Back
that
then,
time. It
yeah.
was, acne and hyperpigmentation and pemphigus and atopic dermatitis and psoriasis and vitiligo.
Sure.
And very gratifying because, when you're a student, you think, skin, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, okay, skin is not important. But then when you see that there is pain, there, if it's psoriasis, it can be very traumatic. If it's an eczema, I have eczema, so I know how traumatic it is when it's itchy all
Sure.
day long and it's, you're not focusing on anything. Or something as simple as acne, can be psychologically debilitating for the child who's going through it or the adult. So patients coming back and literally wanting to touch your feet because you've cured them of vitiligo and the daughter's getting married. All of that really sort of intrigued me and my interest grew. So from pediatrics, I came to dermatology. But God had other plans. I moved from Nagpur University to Mumbai University. We didn't have NEET those days.
Sure.
And so, it was just by merit. And it was university. So Mumbai University got priority over Nagpur. So I was somewhere behind, although my score was good. So I didn't get dermatology. And I said, chalo theek hai, medicine mil gaya. So I started doing my post-graduation in medicine. I was doing DNB medicine to become an internal, medicine, a physician or whatever. My mom fell ill. She got a cerebral stroke. She was in Jamshedpur. I'm basically from Jamshedpur. So I went to see her. And then I stayed back because she was there in coma for 15 days. And, all of that. And I just said, I'm not going back. And so I stayed back for about 4-5 months. And when I came back, they said, there's an opening in dermatology. Do you want it? And I grabbed it.
Destiny.
It was destiny.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened.
How wonderful. What a heartwarming story. And what's really interesting about the way you presented it is when I read the book, the empathy that you have for people clearly came through. But again, when I hear your story now, the fact that you have what you called a soft heart for children clearly reflects now in the work that you do, in the sort of book that you've written. So truly heartwarming. If you don't mind, I also want to talk a little bit about your own journey. So let me give you a little context. Looks matter. We can deny it, we can disagree, we can say it's very shallow, but the way you appear in front of the world makes a difference. Like you said, if there are scars on my face, I'm someone who's actually suffered from both childhood acne as well as adult acne. And it's traumatic, I can tell you, with no doubt whatsoever. A single scar on my face and it just leaves trauma. So you're someone who's also been through your own journey. You've had what you perceived as shortcomings. And then you overcame them to become literally India's leading dermatologist. Walk us through that journey. What was going on in your head? What did you do? What was the mindset that you brought? How did you drive yourself to sort of achieve what you have?
So childhood was a little traumatic. I came from a very, a lower middle class family, a lot of monetary difficulties. But mom and dad put me in the best school. So the best school, I was at Sacred Heart Convent. And back then, and I think even today, it's the #1 school in Jamshedpur. They wanted they wanted that their kids should at least be educated. But it was tough because students around me came from rich families.
Sure.
So they wore good clothes. Maybe uniforms were the same, but when we had parties or we had birthdays and stuff, there was always that feeling of, I'm not good enough to be with them or a part of them. My tiffin boxes would have a chapati with sometimes onion, sometimes, jaggery or something like that. So the recess bell would ring. I would hate it. I would either not eat or if I'm very hungry, I would run. And my school is beautiful even today, So I'd run to these bushes and sit behind them, hide and eat and come back and join the gang. Because I didn't want people to see what I'm eating. Everybody for me, sandwich was exotic.
Right.
So that happened for, I think, a very long time, till I was in 7th grade or something. So that was always trauma. I never celebrated my birthday and I could never call friends home because there were issues at home. So that was again very, very traumatic. But through all this, my mom kept saying that you have to really excel in what you do. She used to say that even if you sweep the floor, there shouldn't be an iota of dust there or dirt there or a speck there that you see. So do it with passion. So I was a very hardworking student.
Incredible.
And I found my way out to shine amidst all the students, because when I did well in studies, automatically everybody flocked around.
Of course.
You know? So then I figured that, without being rich and without celebrating my birthday and without having a good tiffin, I can still have the rich friends around me.
Of course.
And so that's what I, then started working on. The other thing is the physical appearance you spoke about. I'm very short,
Sure.
I'm 4 feet 10, right? And so always a front bencher. In school, a lot of times, and I was very good in, or very passionate, so to say, about extracurricular activities. So I used to sing a lot. I used to win a lot of awards in singing.
Do you still sing, or is that something?
It's become a bathroom. I've
Okay.
become a bathroom singer
Okay,
now.
all right, okay.
But I recently started learning again.
Okay.
I resumed my classes again. So there was singing, there was, drama. I used to love to be part of all these skits that we had in school, and, elocutions I used to win a lot of times. But I would never get a good role in any of those dramas or skits because I was short.
Sure.
No, you go aside. And then, you're given some stand here, you're a school kid right in front, or those kind of, or you're the maid, or you're something,
Right.
those kind of things. It used to really hurt me. And a lot of times people unknowingly will say, "Hey, Tingu idhar aa."
Right.
"Hey, shorty, come here."
Yeah.
Even today, some of them will ridicule you and say, "Does anyone take you seriously at all? Because you're so
You're the
short."
height you are, yeah, sure.
Somebody very recently said, "Oh, God gave you everything, but He didn't give you a height." I said, "It doesn't matter." I said, "All things, small things come in great packages."
Of course.
It doesn't matter to me anymore. But as a child and also in college, it was very, very traumatic. Primarily because people made you aware that you are short, you are no good, you can't take part in fashion shows because you are short, you can't, do A, B, C, you can't. So I remember Rajiv Gandhi had come to our college. I was a huge fan of his. And, people were selected to go and address him, garland him, do his whatever, aarti, And one of the organizers said, "No, Jaishree, you move aside. You're too short." And I'm like, this is the criteria.
Yeah.
It breaks you. It shatters you. And I think that's where the empathy comes in, because then you realize that what you go through, the other person should not.
Absolutely.
You may be very tall, you may be fat, you may be very thin, you may be short, you may have acne, you may have scars. I mean, we can help you to whatever extent, but then you may be dark, you may be fair.
Yeah.
But you have to embrace yourself. And not only that, you have to teach everybody to sort of not point out and say, "Hey, look at the good in others."
Right.
Physically or inwards.
Wonderful. One of the things that is coming through is a certain sort of a mindset, if you will, which is, if I could describe it, a lotus in the mud, right? You are the one that is blossoming. Tell me what drove that? Like, there must have been some thinking behind it. You must have said, "Oh, I want to show the world. I want to do something with my life." Like you said, your mom, she kept telling you, "Listen, you have to shine." So was that like a driving factor for you, or was there something else?
I think my mom, because, she was a 10th grade, she had passed, again, from my school itself. But after that, she just got married. And she never had that opportunity to study. And so those days, if you were, you could either be a doctor, a teacher, or an engineer, right? Or a lawyer. There were only four things. Otherwise, you're not good enough kind of a thing. So she was a good student, and she had that urge to do so many things. She was very bright. She used to sing very well. And I guess she sort of always instilled that in us, that, you may not have this, but tomorrow you have to be independent enough and show the world.
Yeah.
Dad, on the other hand, was a genius, if I may say. He was an engineer, but he would stitch our clothes, and the best our clothes. We had twice in a year during Pujo, because Jamshedpur. So during Pujo, we had one set of clothes. And during Pongal, Sankranti, because I'm a Telugu, we would have one set of clothes. And Dad would stitch them because tailors and all were expensive. He was the best electrician. He gave some, I don't know where he learned homeopathy, but he gave amazing medicine. He cured everybody.
How wonderful.
Okay. And during all my science projects, he would do, and I would win them.
Wonderful.
You had these exhibitions in school, and you do, and Dad would sit and do that. And I wish we all had more time with him. He was, I've never said this ever, but he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That was the reason for the entire, it just, the person is not bad, but that sort of addiction
Correct.
breaks the entire family.
Yeah.
But Mom sort of held us
Stitched it
together. And Dad loved us.
Yeah.
And whenever he was in his senses, he did all this for us. So we
Right.
made sure that, if I need him, even classes, he used to teach students from the 11th and 12th, physics and chemistry. And out of 5 days, even if he would teach them for 2 days, that was enough. He was so good.
Right.
So I guess that multitasking thing, for everything, he'd say, okay, you have to participate in this music concert, or you have to do this. He'd ask me, what's happening in school and why are you not participating?
Right.
So I guess both of them had their role to play. And because I was the eldest child in the family, but the boy in the family, because I had to take care, right from buying grocery to figuring out where is Dad today,
Right.
or
Sure.
what's happening to my kid brother and sister, how to take care of Mom. So I guess it made me more responsible at a very young age.
Wonderful.
And then I think all of that just made me feel that, when I grow up, I will sort of show the world that there is much more to life than all of this.
How wonderful, really wonderful. I mean, it's such an inspiring story because, the world is difficult. The Buddha said life is difficult. Clearly, you've experienced it yourself. And the fact that you can shine amidst that difficulty, I think is truly, truly, truly remarkable. So, more power to you. May you shine very, very bright.
Thank you.
Let me change topics a little bit. When you look at aesthetics, when you look at the skin, when you look at beauty, you look at appearances, there's this notion of inherited versus, what you do with it. So there are people who are just genetically, just blessed. The ones that come to mind are Rekha ji, for example, Hema Malini ji, for example, legends of, of virtue, Cleopatra, of course, in history. But is there truth to this? Like, are people just naturally blessed, or it doesn't really matter? What happens actually?
Scientifically, yes, there is a certain amount of truth to it for sure. At least 20% of what we get, at least 20%, is genetic, right? So if you are from the Aryan race,
Sure.
Vis-a-vis a Dravidian race, automatically the color,
Yeah.
and whatever you say, it's a big thing in our country.
Yeah, fairness.
Right?
Yeah.
Fairness is a big thing. You have great hair if you are from the Dravidian vis-a-vis the Aryan. So all these things do matter, and your genes do matter. Your features, again, they all depend on your race and your ethnicity and from your geographic location, because there's been so much of influx of
Sure.
everybody from Mughals to Aryans to Dravidians. I mean, Dravidians are the inherent race,
Sure.
but you had the English, you had the French, you had the Portuguese, all of that. So, but Bengalis for that matter have great skin. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
Most of
Yeah.
them,
Yeah, they are
right?
actually
They are
blessed again.
genetically blessed. But what happens after 40?
Yeah.
That's when we all have the same skin. We're all, facing similar issues, sun exposure, pollution by and large, and then stress, and, and then of course the lifestyle and everything. And your collagen starts to break down.
Sure.
So even if you have the greatest skin, after a certain point, see you cross 40, 45, you can stretch it to, your skin will give away.
Okay.
Right? And you have to take care of it. I think at some point you have to just submit yourself to good skincare, holistic skincare.
Sure.
But is good skin only for those who have good genes? No. You can work towards it.
Okay.
So from the beginning, if you lead a healthy lifestyle, you eat well, and who better than you to
Sure,
tell us
thank you.
what
That's
to
very
eat?
kind.
But if you eat healthy, as we discussed, there's a direct correlation between the gut and the skin.
Sure.
If you know how to deal with stress, see, everybody has stress today,
Yeah.
right? How do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? I just told you some time back, I've just started learning music. That's my form of meditation.
Correct.
Right? So to figure out that in life and give yourself some self-love and self-care and attention, that's very important. Exercising is extremely essential for the body. Once you do all of that and then follow a good skincare routine, so it's holistic, which is why skin is holistic, aging is holistic. If you do all of that, you can achieve what people with genetically blessed skin may not.
Sure, wonderful. Very interesting point you made about 40. So, like, help me understand this. 40 is when things break down. But obviously what you're saying is I have to have started a long time back. So what is that 0? Is that 10? Is that 15? What age am I really supposed to start?
The skin has its ability to, recycle.
Okay.
So there's a 28-day cycle, right? So all the dead skin comes off. There's a natural form of exfoliation. There's a natural form of collagen rebuilding. The sweat glands and the sebaceous glands are functioning normally. Of course, the hormones come into play and they will decide on how your oil glands or your sebaceous glands work. But other than that, the ability for the body to retain intact collagen and elastin fibers, firmness, all of that, usually till about the mid-30s.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay.
And then it starts to break down. But what you do in your teens and 20s will affect because eventually, the skin can only take that much.
Correct. And obviously what you're saying is true for men and women.
It is true for all genders.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it's true for all
genders. So it's not like a woman thing only.
I always say that men have skin too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if men have skin too, skin is the largest organ of the body.
It is, yeah.
It's a hormonal organ.
Yeah.
It's been proven to be a hormonal organ.
Yeah.
It's not just something to do with beauty. It's not just an external covering, right? It's sense organ for pain, touch, heat, everything.
Of course.
It regulates your hormones.
Immunity.
Vitamin D.
Immunity,
Immunity, your vitamin D, temperature control, regulation. All of that. And it's also a window to your internal health.
Yeah. Again, if you don't mind, if I can just switch gears a little bit, let's talk about skin types. Again, something as a man, it's awkward almost in some sense to talk about it because men are not supposed to really care. Men are not supposed to be obsessed with their skin.
Men should be.
I agree. At least today, I'm one of those people who's now a convert. But growing up, I was almost shy. Like, it was not something. So I was like calcium deficient. I would get white patches on my skin. And I wore it as a badge of honor. Like, I'm a man and I should wear these, white marks on my skin because, that's how men are. And it's silly. I know we're all very, very silly. But what are the different kinds of skins? How would I know what would happen? How would you deal with the different kinds of skin types? Could you just walk us through that?
So we call it the Fitzpatrick skin type, phototype. And 1 and 2 are the absolute fair ones. And Indians don't come in that bracket, even if you may be from Kashmir or wherever. But types 3, 4, and 5, is typically shades of brown.
Okay.
And that's fair. That's our Indian skin type.
Sure.
So you may be from the north and you may be very fair in the Indian dictionary. That's skin type 3.
Okay.
Then somewhere in between is 4 and down south is 5.
Okay.
Or even sometimes 6. So 6 is more African, so very dark. So we are shades of brown.
Okay.
And like in my family, people say, oh, you're very fair. But actually, if you go to the US, they'll say, oh my God, you're so dark, right?
Sure.
So we're shades of brown. The beauty of being shades of brown is that we have more melanin in us.
Sure.
And if we have more, it's called eumelanin. If we have more eumelanin, it's naturally protecting us from UVA, UVB.
Sure.
And therefore, we are not prone to skin cancers.
Right.
As much as the Caucasians. So that's number 1. Now, how do you identify? And then you have skin types, and so that's one broad category.
Right.
And then you have the other skin types, as in, you have normal skin, you have oily skin, you have combination skin, you have sensitive skin, you have pigmented skin, you have acne-prone skin. How does one know that?
Right.
Again, your skin talks to you.
Okay.
My first book was Skin Talks.
Yeah, sure.
So in the morning when you wake up, wash your face and wait for an hour. Don't apply anything.
Okay.
And then take a little tissue and just dab your face. If the tissue is completely smudged and it's not transparent anymore, you have oily skin because there's oil all over your face. Takes about an hour. If you, again, the same tissue, if you wipe and you just see it getting smudged in patches, like blotchy tissue paper, you have combination skin. So maybe your nose is oily, maybe your forehead is oily, maybe your cheeks are dry. So that is combination skin. when it comes to dry skin, you will automatically know because,
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it. It's always like dry, it's stretchy, whatever. It just is hungry for oil and moisture all the time. Sensitive skin is skin which breaks into a rash very easily.
Okay.
So it's itchy or it's, a little reddish or, you get hives, whether you've applied something new or you've walked through a garden and you've gotten exposed to some pollen, or there's perfume, in the air, or you've just sprayed some perfume, you've broken into a rash. You're wearing a leather belt or any metal on your skin and you've broken into a rash. That is sensitive skin.
Interesting. Like somehow I didn't make that connection between a allergic response, if you will, and to your skin.
Yes.
I always thought it was more like chest or things like that.
Yeah, no.
It's really interesting. Okay.
Yes. So that is sensitive skin. Then you have acne-prone skin. Where anything you do, you break out into acne. So one of it is, of course, the regular acne that a lot of people get due to hormonal changes in the body during puberty, menarche, pregnancy, and then throughout also if you have PCOS and the other lot is where, you're applying products which are a little cream-based or oil-based, your skin will get clogged and you'll break out. So that category is acne-prone skin.
Okay.
Anything you do. So they come and they say, Doc, whatever cream I buy and apply, even if it's very expensive, and even if the label says non-comedogenic, I break out. So you have acne-prone skin.
Right.
Then there is the pigmented skin type. You scratch and it leaves behind a dark mark.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so you identify with that.
Yeah.
So that's the pigmented skin type. So you have a range of all these, and there can always be a mix and match.
Okay.
And as you age, your skin type can change because of the hormones and the exposure to sun. And with climate, your skin type can change.
Okay.
So if, for example, if you're in the cold, even your location for that matter, geographically. So if you are in Mumbai where it's really humid and your skin feels normal, and then you go to the north, suddenly your skin may get, drier. If your skin is oily here, it'll get normal in the north. So it depends on the climate and your geographical location as well. And finally, it also depends on either medicines or your hormones.
Right.
So in females, for example, just before periods, the skin is more oily.
Okay.
Because there is an upsurge of progesterone and estrogen in the body. Just after periods, it starts to, and that's when it looks its best. Just after that, it starts to, get drier. So even hormonal changes, medication. If you're on certain medicines, sometimes your skin gets dry, oily. So whatever you are born with and you grow up maybe till your teens, 20s, whatever, can change with all of these, other factors, and your skin types can change. So you have to, again, keep listening to your skin.
Test and check. Yeah, so interesting. Because, I would not have thought of it. So I was told at some point, I don't know who had seen or met in some context, and they said I have what they call a T-skin, T-zone skin, permit me. But over time it may have changed, and I just wouldn't even know. I didn't even know that it can change. I thought once you have it, you just have it.
Yeah, no,
so interesting.
Yeah.
And so then, depending on what you have, then what would you do to fix? Does it really depend on your skin type? Would you need to consult an expert? Is this something you could just do at home? What's your advice?
So I think, today there is a lot of knowledge out there.
Okay.
Instagram is full of skin influencers, beauty experts, doctors who may not be dermatologists, and then you have dermatologists.
Right.
My humble request to everybody would be, if you're starting your journey of skincare, at least once consult with a dermatologist.
Okay.
If you want to prevent premature aging and you want to age gracefully but youthfully, and you don't want to start, once the building has collapsed, you have to do a lot of work, right?
Sure.
Again, you have to start from the foundation. So instead of going there, if you start skincare now, you may not need by the time you're in your late 40s, 50s, 60s.
Interesting. And so you're saying this SPF 50 is like the benchmark for...
Okay. So coming to SPF, ideally an SPF 30 is enough.
Okay.
SPF is sun protection factor. Sunscreens, obviously, when they were first developed, it was for Caucasian skin.
Yeah.
So they did all the research and the studies for Caucasian skin. And as I mentioned, Caucasians have a lot of skin cancer.
Right.
In my practice, in 24 years, of course, I'm into private practice, but 24 years of practice, I've seen only 2 cases of skin cancer. But when I was in the US doing my fellowships, we saw, 20 to 30 skin cancers every day.
Right.
So SPF was basically made, manufactured, researched, everything for that kind of skin type. Indian skin needs more protection from ultraviolet A and visible light.
Got it.
SPF is protection from UVB.
Yeah.
So yes, we do need protection from UVB, but not as much as protection from UVA and visible light. So what we need to look out for is the PA factor.
Okay.
Okay, so look for a PA triple plus or a PA 4 plus or a PA 5 plus. And if you are indoors, especially laptops and stuff, it's visible light, blue light. In the kitchen, again, the gas, infrared rays. You need something which has iron oxide in it.
Okay.
So maybe a tinted sunscreen usually has these iron oxide and certain other antioxidants. So look for those and look for PA. Coming back to SPF, an SPF of 30 is also enough. But none of us, most of us rather, do not reapply a sunscreen every 2 hours. It's very cumbersome.
Correct.
It's not so practical. And if you have makeup on, then how do you keep reapplying a sunscreen?
Right.
Which is why we say, okay, use 50 so that it lasts you at least a little longer.
Got it.
So that a 30 will last you for 2 hours. A 50 will probably last you for 3 to 4 hours. That's the advantage
logic. Okay, got it.
of 50.
Okay.
What about 100? Not much of a difference between a 50 and 100.
again, yeah.
So 50 is all right. But what is really important is the PA factor.
Got it. This is something I've not heard of, actually, to be honest. I had heard of SPF, but I'd never heard of this thing called a PA factor. I will definitely go look it up.
Yes, I've written it in the book also. And when you buy your sunscreens, these days, of course, most sunscreens are broad spectrum. So you do see a UVA and UVB. So you see SPF and PA plus written on it.
Got it.
So, and some some sunscreens come with moisturizers. They have hyaluronic acid, they have vitamin E. Some have vitamin C and botanicals in them. So, pollution and, all the other stressors which are there takes care of them as well.
Right. Right. I'm so sorry I interrupted you when you were talking about the routine, right? So you talked about a little bit about washing your face in the morning, et cetera, and we sort of got sidetracked into the whole sunscreen thing. But if you don't mind, if you could just complete that conversation, what would be ideal sort of routine?
Yeah. So in the morning you cleanse.
Sure.
And then you moisturize, and then you protect.
Okay.
So you cleanse, you hydrate, you protect. How do you protect? You protect with a sunscreen.
Got it.
That's a basic skincare routine in the day that anyone and everyone should follow. Then now with all the new things coming in, there is toning. So if you have very oily skin, after your face wash, after your cleansing, you use a toner.
Okay.
Then comes in the serum. So a serum is a concentrated solution of whatever active ingredient. So efficacy-wise, it's better than the same ingredient in a cream. So now serum. Now because serum is lighter than a cream, you apply a serum before a cream.
Okay.
So cleanse, tone, apply a serum, then do the moisturizing, and then do a sunscreen. So that's your day routine.
Okay.
Now you do not need to use 10 types of serums and do the entire 10-layer glass skincare ritual and stuff like that.
The Korean thing.
You don't need it.
Okay.
Yes, we don't need it. So if you're in a rush, you don't want to do so much, wash your face and apply a sunscreen.
Okay.
In the evening, however tired you are, you have to cleanse your face. If you have makeup on, you need to double cleanse. What is double cleansing? You first remove the entire makeup with your makeup remover, and then you use a cleanser.
Okay.
Now, what is a cleanser? It's a face wash. It's soap in a tube, right? So when it's soap in a tube, it does not alter the pH of your skin. It doesn't make it more alkaline. It does not dry your skin, which is why it's always advisable to use a liquid over a bar on your face.
Okay.
So you remove makeup, you cleanse. You may or may not tone. It's optional. You may or may not use a serum. So an under-eye serum and a face serum. Then comes the moisturizer. And if you have any issues, so if you have hyperpigmentation, or if you have acne, or if you want to use a targeted cream for fine lines or an anti-aging cream, you use all of that just after the serum.
Okay.
And then use your moisturizer.
Okay.
Now, from morning to night, the entire body is going through a lot of stuff, right? So if you just apply a moisturizer or a sunscreen on the face and leave your neck and hands and legs, all the exposed parts of the body, if you don't apply a sunscreen, it's not benefiting you. So it's very important to use the sunscreen on all the exposed parts of the body. And it's equally important to use a moisturizer on your hands, legs, if you have very dry skin on the back and, entire body. Back in the day, even our grandparents and great-grandparents were using oil.
Yeah.
It's moisturizing.
Yeah.
You can do that even today. I never say no to people when they ask me, can we use oil instead of a moisturizer? Yes, why not?
Coconut oil, for
Yes,
example.
coconut oil, almond oil, whatever oil, unless you have acne-prone skin. Because if you have acne-prone skin, it is going to clog your pores.
Okay.
And then you may break out. So if you have normal skin and anything beyond, like normal skin, dry skin, sensitive skin, you can apply oil.
Okay.
So that's moisturizing. So these things have been there in practice from years together. What is basin and uptan and all that? That's cleansing.
Correct.
What is covering the baby in, wrapping the baby in a cloth when you're taking the baby out? It's protecting the baby from sun rays. So whatever our ancestors and our, great-grandparents did was right. There was science behind it.
Yeah.
There was science behind it.
I could go on and on. You're a treasure trove of information. You're a treasure trove of scientific facts. But you're also a treasure trove of kindness.
Thank you.
It shines through. Your kindness shines through. Your empathy shines through. And the fact that you've been open enough to also share your story of the fact that you had a difficult upbringing. And then from that to actually convert this into kindness and empathy and compassion for the world, I think in many ways reflects the heart that you carry inside. So really, really grateful for you to come. You came on literally one message from me. I'm truly grateful. I've learned a lot. I know the audience is going to absolutely love what we've spoken about. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharad.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be on your show, really. And to have met you, because as I was telling you, you have so much positivity.
Appreciate it.
It just feels really nice. That aura that you carry around you is very positive. And I could go on and on.
So could I. I mean, at least if we were not short on time, I could spend the next couple of hours with you easily. But we'll do this again sometime.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.